My beloved child, do not scroll away from this moment. You may think this is just another video, another message passing through your screen like all the others before it. But deep inside you, something feels different this time, doesn't it? There is a reason your heart slowed down for these words. There is a reason you felt pulled here even when you could not explain why. Because this message was never an accident. I brought you here. Before you clicked this video, I already knew you would arrive. Before this moment began, I had already prepared these words for the exact burden you are carrying right now. And yes, I see the burden. I see the exhaustion you hide behind your smile. I see the nights you lay awake, staring into the darkness, trying to understand why everything has felt so heavy lately. You kept telling yourself to stay strong. You kept pretending everything was fine for the sake of everyone around you. But inside, my child, you have been tired for a very long time. Tired of fighting battles nobody understands. Tired of carrying responsibilities that slowly drained your spirit. Tired of praying and wondering if heaven was still listening. But hear me now. I never stopped listening, not once. Not during the nights you cried in silence. Not during the mornings you forced yourself out of bed while your soul felt empty. Not during the moments you almost gave up completely. I was there through all of it, closer than you realize. And what you are feeling right now, that strange tension in your chest, that deep feeling that something is shifting, is not your imagination. Something has already begun. My child, your life is entering a new season faster than you expect. But before the doors open, before the breakthrough arrives, before the answers appear, there is something I must awaken inside you first. Because the version of you that enters this next season cannot be the same version that survived the last one. Listen carefully now, this next part matters deeply. The pain you experienced was not meaningless. The betrayal was not random. The delay was not punishment. And the loneliness was not proof that I abandoned you. No, my beloved. I was using every difficult moment to prepare your spirit for what is now approaching, even when you felt forgotten. I was strengthening you quietly. Even when others walked away, I was teaching you how to stand without depending on human approval. Even when nothing made sense, I was arranging things behind doors you could not yet see. You have spent so much time asking me why things had to happen the way they did. Why certain people hurt you. Why certain opportunities disappeared. Why your heart had to break so many times. But soon, very soon, you will understand. Because what is coming next will reveal why everything before it had to happen. Nothing was wasted. Not one tear. Not one sleepless night, not one disappointment. Every battle shaped something inside you. Every delay built endurance. Every closed door redirected your path. And now, my child, you stand at the edge of transformation. I know you feel uncertain. I know part of you still wonders if you are truly ready. But this moment was never about your perfection. It was always about my purpose. You keep looking at your weaknesses while I keep looking at the calling placed upon your life. You keep remembering your failures while I keep speaking about your future. You keep focusing on what broke you while I keep preparing what will restore you. Do you understand now? The enemy wanted your suffering to convince you that your story was over. But the truth is, your story is only beginning. And that is why the attacks became stronger recently. Because your breakthrough became closer. The darkness sensed what was coming before you did. That heaviness, that confusion, that emotional exhaustion, it was resistance, spiritual resistance. Because something powerful is awakening inside you now. You are not the same person you were a year ago. The pain changed you, the waiting changed you, the battles changed you. And although you thought you were falling apart, I was rebuilding you from the inside, quietly, patiently, carefully, my child. There were moments you almost walked away from your purpose completely, moments you wanted to disappear, moments you questioned your worth, moments you wondered if anybody would ever truly understand you. But I understood you. I saw the hidden tears nobody else saw. I heard the silent prayers you never spoke out loud. I watched you survive days that should have broken you completely. And still, you kept going, even with exhausted faith. Even with shaking hands, even with a wounded heart, you kept moving forward, and heaven noticed every step. Do not underestimate the strength it took to survive what you survived. You thought you were weak because you were hurting, but the truth is, you were strong because you kept going while hurting. That is why this next season will be different, because now your strength is no longer built on pride. It is built on endurance, built on surrender, built on trust. And what I build cannot be destroyed by fear. My beloved child, something irreversible has already started moving in your life. You can feel it. Certain relationships no longer feel the same. Certain places no longer fit your spirit. Certain habits no longer satisfy you the way they used to. That is not coincidence. That is transformation. You are outgrowing the season that once contained you. And although transition feels uncomfortable, you must not fear it. Because where I am leading you next requires you to let go of who you used to be. Listen closely, do not miss this. Some things are about to leave your life permanently. Some people will walk away, some doors will close forever. Some patterns will break suddenly, and at first it may feel painful, but later you will thank me, because not everything that leaves you is a loss. Sometimes it is rescue, sometimes it is protection, sometimes it is the only way to bring you into the future I prepared for you. My child, the season of surviving is ending, and the season of rebuilding is beginning. But you must trust me now more than ever before. Not your fear, not your anxiety, not the voices telling you nothing will ever change. Trust me, because I already stand inside the future you are afraid of. And I promise you this, you will not walk into it alone. I will guide you through every unfamiliar step. I will strengthen you when your heart feels weak. I will calm your thoughts when fear tries to consume you. And I will open doors nobody can shut. But first, you must release the weight you were never meant to carry. Release the guilt, release the regret, release the bitterness, release the need to control every outcome. You cannot enter your new season while chained to your old pain. This is your moment to let go. This is your moment to breathe again. This is your moment to remember who you truly are. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not behind in life. You are not disqualified because of your past. You are chosen, you are protected, you are being prepared, and what is coming toward you now will happen faster than you expect. Before this month ends, you will begin to notice the shift. Small confirmations, unexpected peace, sudden clarity, doors opening where nothing moved before. Watch carefully, because I will speak through quiet moments, through unexpected conversations, through sudden opportunities, through deep peace that makes no human sense. And when those signs begin appearing, remember this moment, remember these words. Remember that I told you beforehand so fear would not stop you from stepping forward. My beloved, do not turn away now. Stay close to me, because this is only the beginning, and the next part of your story will change everything. If you feel this message touching your spirit right now, comment, "I'm ready for my new season." And remain here with me, because what comes next is important. My precious child, I know there were moments when you looked at your life and quietly asked me a question you were too exhausted to say out loud. Why did everything have to fall apart? Why did the people you trusted disappoint you? Why did the doors you prayed for suddenly close? Why did the seasons you expected to bring joy instead bring confusion, loneliness, and pain? You tried to understand it. You tried to stay faithful. You tried to keep believing even when your heart was tired. But there were nights when your soul whispered, "I cannot do this anymore." And still, you survived. Listen to me carefully now. What broke around you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you, because before I could bring you into the life I prepared for you, I first had to separate you from the things that were quietly destroying your spirit. There were people you loved deeply who could not go where I am taking you. There were environments slowly draining your peace. There were habits keeping your heart chained to fear. And there were versions of yourself that could never survive the next season of your life. So yes, things had to break, not because I hated you, not because I abandoned you, but because I loved you too much to leave you trapped in places that no longer matched your calling. My child, I know it hurt when certain relationships ended. I know it hurt watching people slowly become strangers. I know how deeply rejection wounded your heart, especially when you gave so much love, especially when you stayed loyal, especially when you tried your best to hold everything together. But hear me now, some endings are actually protection disguised as loss. You kept asking me to save relationships that were silently breaking your spirit. You kept begging me to open doors that would have led you away from your purpose. And because I love you, I said no, even when you did not understand it, even when you cried over it, even when you thought I was being silent. I was protecting your future. There are things you cannot see yet. Conversations that happened behind closed doors, hidden intentions, spiritual dangers, roads that would have destroyed your peace years from now, but I saw them all. And I redirected you before the damage could fully reach your life. One day you will thank me for every closed door. One day you will understand why certain people disappeared. One day you will see that your greatest heartbreaks were actually turning points leading you toward freedom. But right now, I know all you feel is exhaustion. You became tired of rebuilding yourself. Tired of hoping, tired of pretending you were okay. There were moments you smiled in front of others while silently breaking inside. Moments you wanted someone to notice your pain without you having to explain it. Moments you wished somebody would simply hold your heart gently for once instead of adding more weight to it. My beloved, I saw every one of those moments and I never looked away. Even when you felt emotionally abandoned, Heaven remained close to you. You must understand this now. The season that broke you was also the season that revealed who you truly are. Before this pain, you depended heavily on people. You searched for your worth in approval. You tied your peace to outcomes. You attached your identity to things that could disappear overnight. But after everything collapsed, you discovered something deeper. You discovered endurance. You discovered discernment. You discovered spiritual strength. And most importantly, you discovered that you could survive things you once believed would destroy you. That is why the enemy attacked your mind so heavily, because your growth terrified the darkness. The battles became more intense because your purpose became clearer. Do not miss this truth. The warfare increased because your destiny got closer. My child, the pain was never random. You thought life was punishing you, but heaven was preparing you. Look at Moses. Before he led people into freedom, he wandered through isolation. Look at Joseph. Before he reached the palace, he survived betrayal, rejection, and prison. Look at David. Before he wore the crown, he cried alone in caves. The breaking always comes before the elevation. The wilderness always comes before the promise. And now, you are finally beginning to understand why your life unfolded the way it did. Because what I am building inside you could never be created through comfort alone. Comfort would have kept you asleep. Comfort would have made you dependent on temporary things. Comfort would have stopped you from discovering your true spiritual strength. So I allowed the shaking. I allowed certain illusions to collapse. I allowed false security to disappear. Not to ruin your life, but to reveal the foundation underneath it. And what remained after the storm? You, still standing, still breathing, still searching for me. Even after everything, that is strength, my child. You keep calling yourself weak because you cried, but tears are not weakness. Tears are proof that your heart survived the battle without becoming cold. Never be ashamed of your tears. I collected everyone. I stayed beside you during every sleepless night. I heard every silent prayer whispered into your pillow. And even when you felt nothing, I was still carrying you. Listen carefully now. This next truth is important. The person you used to be cannot follow you into your next season. That version of you was built around survival. But the new version I am awakening inside you is built for purpose. You are no longer just surviving. You are becoming wiser, becoming stronger, becoming spiritually aware, becoming emotionally resilient, becoming someone who can carry the blessings I am about to release into your life. Because, my child, what is coming next requires maturity. The prayers you have asked me for carry weight. The doors opening ahead require wisdom. The influence I am preparing to place on your life requires inner stability. And that is why the preparation took so long. I was not only preparing the blessing, I was preparing you. You kept asking when your breakthrough would come. But had it arrived too early, it would have crushed you under pressure you were not yet ready to carry. Now you are stronger, not because life became easier, but because the fire refined your spirit. And suddenly, the things that once broke you no longer control you. The opinions of others no longer define your worth. The fear of rejection no longer owns your decisions. The loneliness no longer destroys you the way it once did. Why? Because through every painful moment, I was rebuilding your identity. My beloved, do not fear the season you are entering now. Yes, things are changing quickly. Yes, some relationships will continue fading. Yes, certain paths are ending permanently. But this is not destruction. This is transition. You are leaving behind a version of yourself that carried too much pain for too long. And although healing feels uncomfortable at first, it will soon become freedom. There is a peace coming toward you that you have not felt in years. A calmness that does not depend on circumstances. A confidence rooted in my presence instead of human approval. A quiet strength that remains steady even when life feels uncertain. That is what I am building inside you now. So stop blaming yourself for everything that happened. Stop replaying old failures inside your mind. Stop punishing yourself for seasons that already ended. You cannot move forward while constantly dragging yesterday behind you. Release it now. Release the guilt. Release the shame. Release the bitterness. Release the people who already walked away. Because the next part of your life cannot begin while your heart remains chained to old pain. My child, listen to me carefully one more time. Your life did not fall apart by accident. It fell apart because I was removing what could no longer remain. And soon, very soon, you will see why everything had to break before everything could finally heal. The rebuilding has already begun. And this time, what I build inside you will not collapse. If this message reached your heart, comment, "My breaking season prepared me for my becoming season." And stay close, because what comes next will reveal the battle you never saw happening around your life. My beloved child, there is something I must reveal to you now. Something you felt, but could never fully explain. The heaviness surrounding your life lately was not only emotional, it was spiritual. That pressure in your mind, the sudden waves of fear, the exhaustion that sleep could not fix, the strange feeling that something was constantly draining your peace. None of it was random. You kept blaming yourself for being tired. You thought maybe you were becoming weak. Maybe you were losing motivation. Maybe something inside you was broken. But listen to me carefully now. You were not weak. You were under attack. Because there is an invisible battle that takes place around every soul chosen for purpose. And the closer you move toward transformation, the stronger the resistance becomes. The enemy saw your future before you did. That is why confusion increased. That is why discouragement surrounded your thoughts. That is why so many unexpected problems suddenly appeared all at once. It was never coincidence. Darkness always fights hardest before breakthrough arrives. My child, the enemy was never afraid of your past. The enemy fears who you are becoming. That is why certain seasons felt unbearably heavy. You thought life was collapsing around you, but beneath the surface, heaven and darkness were battling over your future. And while you were crying over closed doors, I was protecting you from traps you could not see. While you felt abandoned, I was surrounding you with unseen protection. While fear whispered that you would never recover, I was already preparing restoration. But the enemy wanted you distracted before the breakthrough arrived. Distracted by fear, distracted by anxiety, distracted by hopelessness, distracted by emotional exhaustion. Because if he could keep your spirit tired, he could keep you from recognizing your purpose. Listen carefully. This next truth matters deeply. Not every battle in your life came through obvious pain. Some attacks came quietly, through overthinking, through discouragement, through isolation, through endless delays that slowly weakened your confidence, through voices that constantly told you, you are not enough. Nothing will ever change. You will always struggle. You are too broken. You missed your chance. My child, those thoughts were never sent to build you. They were sent to imprison you. The enemy knew something powerful was hidden inside you, something capable of bringing light into dark places, something capable of helping other wounded people survive, something capable of changing generations after you. And because of that, your mind became a battlefield. You started doubting yourself even after progress. You questioned your worth even after surviving impossible seasons. You feared failure even after overcoming things that should have destroyed you. Do you see it now? The attack was never proof that you were forgotten. The attack was proof that your life carried significance. No kingdom attacks something without value, and heaven would not protect you this intensely if your future held no purpose. My beloved, there were moments recently when your spirit felt unusually restless, moments when anxiety appeared without warning, moments when you felt emotionally overwhelmed even in quiet places, moments when you could not explain why your heart suddenly felt heavy. That was spiritual pressure, because unseen forces wanted to keep your focus trapped in fear before your new season arrived. But hear me now, the darkness surrounding you is weaker than the power protecting you. You are not fighting this battle alone. I have stood beside you through every unseen war, even when you did not feel me, even when heaven felt silent, even when your prayers seemed unanswered. I was still working behind every moment. My child, some of the greatest victories in your life happened without you ever realizing it. There were accidents I prevented, conversations I blocked, doors I closed, people I removed, attacks I stopped before they ever reached you. You have no idea how many times I protected your life quietly. And still, you survived long enough to reach this moment. That is not luck, that is grace. The enemy tried to exhaust you emotionally because exhaustion clouds discernment. When the spirit becomes tired, people begin settling for less than they deserve. They stop dreaming, they stop trusting, they stop expecting good things, and eventually, they stop believing their life can change. That was the real battle, not just against your circumstances, but against your hope. Because hopeless people stop moving forward. Hopeless people stop praying. Hopeless people stop believing breakthrough is possible. But somehow, despite everything, you are still here, still listening, still searching for peace, still trying to hold on to faith. And heaven honors that more than you realize. My beloved child, do not mistake your emotional exhaustion for spiritual failure. Warriors become tired during battle. Even Elijah became exhausted. Even David cried in caves. Even Jesus wept in moments of deep sorrow. Your tears never disqualified you. Your exhaustion never made me ashamed of you. In fact, I stayed closest during the moments you felt weakest, because I knew how hard the battle had become around your mind. Listen carefully now. You are entering a season where your discernment must become stronger. Not every voice deserves access to your spirit. Not every environment deserves your energy. Not every relationship deserves your trust. The enemy often works through constant noise, distraction, drama, confusion, emotional chaos. Anything that keeps your focus away from my voice. That is why your spirit has recently started pulling away from certain people and environments. You felt it quietly. Some conversations suddenly felt draining. Some places started feeling heavy. Some people became emotionally exhausting to be around. That was not your imagination. Your spirit was recognizing what no longer aligns with your future. Because where I am taking you next requires clarity. And clarity cannot survive inside constant confusion. My child, you cannot keep feeding fear and expect peace to grow. You cannot surround yourself with darkness and expect your spirit to stay strong. You cannot constantly listen to voices of negativity while expecting faith to remain alive. That is why I am teaching you to guard your heart now. Protect your peace, protect your energy. Protect your spirit from voices that only produce fear and discouragement. The next season of your life depends on it. And now, the battle around your life is beginning to shift. You may not fully see it yet, but the pressure will not remain this intense forever, because breakthrough seasons always arrive after warfare seasons. The enemy attacks hardest right before chains break, right before healing begins, right before doors open, right before identity awakens. And my child, your identity is awakening now. You are finally beginning to see yourself differently, not as abandoned, not as weak, not as forgotten, but as chosen, protected, prepared, refined through fire. That is why the enemy failed to destroy you, because your purpose was always greater than the attack. Listen carefully, this next part is important. Soon, things that confused you will suddenly make sense. You will begin recognizing why certain delays happened, why certain relationships ended, why certain plans collapsed unexpectedly, why your spirit felt restless in places where you once felt comfortable. The hidden battle will become visible through revelation, and when understanding finally arrives, you will realize something powerful. The enemy spent so much energy trying to stop your future because your future carries extraordinary impact. My beloved, you are not crazy for feeling different lately. You are changing spiritually. The old version of you is dying quietly, and the new version of you is awakening. That process feels uncomfortable, sometimes lonely, sometimes exhausting. But transformation always feels strange before it becomes beautiful. Do not fear this transition. You are not losing yourself. You are discovering yourself. And I promise you this, the battle around your life will not last forever. Morning always follows the darkest night. Peace always follows the storm. Healing always follows the breaking. And victory always belongs to those who refuse to surrender. So stand firm now, even if your voice shakes, even if your faith feels small, even if your heart feels tired. Do not quit before the breakthrough arrives, because what is coming next will reveal why hell fought so hard against your future. If this message speaks to your spirit, comment, "I survived the battle because God protected me," and stay close. Because the next part will reveal how your pain secretly transformed you into someone stronger than you realize. My beloved child, something inside you has already started changing. Even if you cannot fully explain it yet, you can feel it. The things that once controlled your emotions no longer affect you the same way. The pain that used to consume your thoughts every night is slowly losing its grip. The voices that once made you question your worth are becoming quieter, and although you still carry scars, you are no longer the same person who first entered the storm. That is because while you thought life was breaking you, I was transforming you, quietly, deeply, from the inside out. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. Transformation rarely feels beautiful in the beginning. Most of the time, it feels confusing, lonely, exhausting, because before something new can grow, something old must die. And my child, the old version of you has been slowly fading away for a long time now. The fearful version, the version addicted to approval, the version that kept begging people to stay, the version that doubted your value every time someone rejected you, the version that believed you had to suffer in silence just to deserve love. I have been dismantling those chains one by one, not to punish you, but to free you. You kept praying for change while still trying to hold on to the same mindset that kept hurting you. But real healing cannot happen while you continue living inside the same emotional prison. So I allowed the process to become uncomfortable. I allowed silence, I allowed distance, I allowed seasons where nothing made sense. Because some lessons can only be learned in stillness, and some transformations can only happen in isolation. Look at the caterpillar, my child. Before it becomes something beautiful, it disappears into darkness. It enters a hidden place where everything familiar begins dissolving, and from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside, everything is changing. That is exactly what happened to you. You thought you were falling apart, but heaven saw you becoming. There were days you barely recognized yourself anymore. Things that once excited you suddenly felt empty. Conversations you once enjoyed became draining. Places you once loved no longer brought peace to your spirit. And you wondered, what is happening to me? Transformation was happening. I was awakening a new identity inside you, one that no longer settles for emotional crumbs, one that no longer accepts chaos as normal, one that finally understands your worth. My beloved, you spent too many years surviving environments that slowly damaged your spirit. You tolerated disrespect because you feared being alone. You carried emotional burdens that were never yours to carry. You kept shrinking yourself so others would feel comfortable around you. But now, something inside you refuses to return to that version of life. That resistance you feel, that discomfort, that inability to keep pretending is proof that healing has begun. Because once light enters your spirit, darkness no longer feels comfortable. And yes, healing changes people. It changes the way you think, the way you love, the way you protect your peace, the way you respond to disrespect, the way you choose relationships, the way you see yourself. You are becoming more discerning now, more aware, more emotionally awake. And although some people may call it distance, it is actually growth. Not everyone will understand your transformation. Some people benefited from the broken version of you. Some people felt comfortable when you lacked boundaries. Some people preferred you exhausted because it made you easier to control. But now, you are changing, and change makes unhealthy people uncomfortable. That is why some relationships began fading when your healing started. Because healed people no longer tolerate what wounded people once accepted. My child, do not feel guilty for protecting your peace now. Do not apologize for outgrowing environments that constantly drained your spirit. Do not fear becoming different, because I never created you to stay trapped in cycles that destroy your joy. Listen carefully, this next part is important. The pain you survived gave you something powerful. Discernment. Now you notice energy differently. You notice manipulation faster. You notice dishonesty sooner. You notice when your spirit feels heavy around certain people. That awareness is not weakness, it is wisdom born from survival. You learned the hard way, but the lesson transformed you forever. And now, You are finally starting to trust yourself again. That is part of the healing too, because for so long your confidence was shattered by disappointment. You stopped trusting your instincts, stopped trusting your voice, stopped trusting your own worth. But I am restoring that now. Little by little, quietly, you are learning that your feelings matter. Your peace matters, your boundaries matter, your heart matters, and most importantly, you matter. My beloved child, I know healing feels slow sometimes. Some days you feel strong, other days old pain suddenly returns. Certain memories still hurt, certain wounds still ache in silence. But do not mistake slow healing for failure. Even the deepest wounds take time to close. And while you are healing, I am rebuilding every part of you stronger than before. Your mind is becoming stronger, your spirit is becoming calmer, your heart is becoming wiser, your faith is becoming deeper. And one day, you will look back at this season and realize something incredible. The very thing you thought was destroying you was actually introducing you to your true self. You are no longer becoming the person others expected you to be. You are becoming the person I created you to be. There is a difference. The world taught you to perform for love. I am teaching you to rest in love. The world taught you to hide your pain. I am teaching you to heal from it. The world taught you to chase approval. I am teaching you to know your value without needing validation. And my child, that transformation changes everything. You will love differently now, not desperately, not fearfully, not from loneliness, but from wholeness. You will walk differently now, not constantly anxious, not constantly apologizing for existing, not constantly doubting your worth, but with quiet confidence, because healing restores dignity. Healing restores identity. Healing restores peace. And peace is something the enemy tried desperately to steal from you, but he failed. Because despite every battle, despite every disappointment, despite every season that almost broke you, you are still becoming stronger. Listen carefully now. The version of you entering this next season will not resemble the version that entered the storm. You are wiser now, more spiritually aware, more emotionally grounded, more protective of your energy, more connected to my voice. And because of that, the blessings coming into your life next will not destroy you the way they would have before. You are finally becoming ready to carry what you once only prayed for. That is why this transformation was necessary, not just to heal you, but to prepare you. My beloved, do not rush the process now. Do not compare your healing to anyone else's. Some transformations happen slowly because they are meant to last permanently. And what I build inside you now will remain steady even when future storms appear. Because this time, your identity is not built on unstable things anymore. It is being built on truth. You are loved. You are chosen. You are protected. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. And soon, others will notice the difference too. Not because you became louder, but because peace now surrounds your spirit differently. People will feel the strength you fought hard to build. They will notice the calmness that once seemed impossible for you. They will wonder how you survived everything that tried to destroy you. And your life itself will become proof that healing is possible. My child, you thought you were losing yourself in the fire. But the truth is, the fire revealed who you truly were all along. If this message reaches your heart, comment, "God transformed my pain into strength," and stay close. Because the next part will reveal why certain people had to leave your life before your breakthrough could fully arrive. Part 5. Why people walked away from you. My beloved child, I know one of the deepest pains you carry is not what happened to you, but who disappeared while it was happening. That silence hurt you. That distance wounded you more than words ever could. You expected certain people to stay beside you forever. You believed they would understand your heart. You trusted them with pieces of your spirit that you rarely showed anyone else. And when life became difficult, when the storm arrived, when your soul became tired, they slowly drifted away. Some left quietly, some changed suddenly, some betrayed your trust completely, and some watched you suffer without ever reaching back toward you. My child, I know how deeply that hurt you. Because you loved sincerely, you stayed loyal. You carried people emotionally, even while you were breaking inside yourself. You gave second chances, you forgave repeatedly. You tried to understand people even when nobody understood you. And because your heart was genuine, their absence felt devastating. There were nights you replayed conversations in your mind, trying to understand what changed. Moments you questioned whether you were too much or somehow not enough. You blamed yourself for people leaving. You wondered if something was wrong with you. Listen carefully now. There was never anything wrong with your worth. The separation was necessary. Because not everyone assigned to your past is permitted into your future. And although that truth hurts right now, one day it will bring you peace. My child, some people only knew how to love the version of you that stayed small, the version that tolerated disrespect, the version that carried everyone else's burdens while ignoring your own wounds, the version that constantly sacrificed your peace just to keep others comfortable. But now, you are changing. Healing changed you. Wisdom changed you. Pain changed you. And suddenly, relationships built around your exhaustion can no longer survive your healing. That is why certain people became distant once your spirit started awakening. Not because you became harder to love, but because you became harder to control. This next part is important. Some people were assignments. Others were attachments, and many times you confused the two. Assignments walk beside you for a season. Attachments try to keep you trapped in one. There are people who entered your life only to teach you lessons, to expose wounds, to awaken discernment, to reveal what you should never accept again. And once the lesson finished, the connection ended. But instead of recognizing the ending as protection, you mourned it as rejection. My beloved, not every goodbye was punishment. Some goodbyes were rescue. There were relationships slowly poisoning your peace while you kept praying for them to stay. There were people draining your spirit while pretending to love you. There were individuals who benefited from your brokenness because your lack of boundaries gave them comfort. But I saw what you could not see. I heard conversations you never heard. I saw hidden intentions. I saw the emotional manipulation. I saw how often your kindness was being used against you. And because I love you, I began separating you, not to isolate you, but to preserve you. You kept asking me why certain people changed. But my child, sometimes people do not change. Sometimes their true nature finally becomes visible once your spirit starts healing. And healing always reveals what no longer belongs in your life. That is why your spirit feels different around certain people now. You notice the heaviness faster. You feel emotional exhaustion sooner. You recognize manipulation more clearly. That awareness is not bitterness. It is discernment born through pain. My beloved child, there were people who only felt comfortable around the wounded version of you. Because wounded people are easier to silence, easier to control, easier to guilt. But now, you are becoming emotionally awake. And emotionally awake, people stop abandoning themselves to keep others happy. That transformation makes unhealthy people uncomfortable. So do not fear the distance you feel now. Do not panic when certain relationships fade naturally. Not every separation is an attack. Some separations are answers to prayers you cried years ago. You prayed for peace. You prayed for healing. You prayed for clarity. And clarity often arrives through separation. Because you cannot heal in environments constantly reopening your wounds. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. Loneliness was never sent to destroy you. Isolation became the place where I rebuilt your identity. When people walked away, you were forced to discover who you were without depending on human validation. When nobody applauded you, you learned how to survive quietly. When certain voices disappeared, You finally began hearing mine more clearly, and although loneliness felt unbearable at times, it created intimacy between your spirit and heaven. You spent years searching for people who could heal wounds only I could heal. You searched for peace through relationships, for identity through attention, for worth through approval. But none of those things could fully restore your spirit. So I allowed the emptiness, because emptiness makes room for transformation. My child, I know abandonment changed the way you trust. I know betrayal made your heart more guarded. I know disappointment taught you to expect people to leave eventually. But hear me carefully now. Not everyone you meet in the future will wound you like the people from your past. Do not let old pain convince you that genuine love no longer exists. The enemy wants your heart permanently closed. Because closed hearts stop receiving blessings. Closed hearts stop trusting. Closed hearts stop loving. But I am healing your heart slowly now. Not so you become naive again, but so you become wise without becoming cold. There is a difference. You do not need to lose your softness to become strong. You do not need to become bitter to become discerning. You do not need to stop loving in order to protect your peace. I am teaching you balance now, teaching you boundaries, teaching you how to recognize who carries peace and who carries chaos, and that wisdom will protect your future. My beloved, some people left because they were never assigned to your next season. If they stayed, they would have delayed your healing, delayed your growth, delayed your purpose. And although their departure broke your heart, their absence created space for your transformation. One day you will stop grieving certain people. One day you will look back and realize their leaving saved your life emotionally. Because had they remained, you would still be shrinking yourself to maintain relationships that slowly destroyed your spirit. My child, the next season of your life requires healthier connections. People who honor your peace, people who respect your heart, people who encourage your growth instead of feeding your insecurity. And before those people arrive, I had to clear away those who could not carry your future with you. Trust me now, I know separation hurts. I know endings feel heavy, but some chapters must close before restoration can begin, and your restoration has already started. Listen carefully. You are not abandoned because certain people walked away. You are being repositioned. You are being redirected. You are being protected from attachments that no longer align with your destiny. And although it feels lonely now, this loneliness will not last forever. I am bringing healthier love into your future, healthier friendships, healthier connections, healthier peace. But first, your heart needed healing, your identity needed rebuilding, and your spirit needed freedom from relationships rooted in pain instead of purpose. My beloved child, stop chasing people who already decided to leave. Stop begging for closure from hearts unwilling to understand yours. Stop exhausting yourself trying to keep relationships alive that heaven already released. What is meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. Real love does not constantly destroy your peace. Real connection does not leave you emotionally starving. Real people do not repeatedly make you feel invisible. And now, you are finally learning your value. That lesson changes everything. Because once you truly understand your worth, you stop settling for relationships that wound your spirit. You stop accepting emotional confusion as love. You stop mistaking attachment for connection. And that awakening, my child, is part of your transformation. So do not fear the people who left. Bless them quietly, release them peacefully, and continue moving forward. Because the next people entering your life will meet a stronger version of you, a healed version, a wiser version, a spiritually awakened version. And this time, you will no longer lose yourself trying to keep others from leaving. If this message touched your spirit, comment, "God removed what no longer belonged in my life." And stay close, because the next part will reveal the warning God is giving before your breakthrough finally arrives. Part 6, the warning before the blessing. My beloved child, You are closer to your breakthrough than you realize, closer than you were yesterday, closer than you were during all those nights you cried wondering if anything would ever change, closer than the fear in your mind wants you to believe. And that is exactly why the pressure has become so intense lately. Because right before a door opens, the enemy often tries one final time to convince people to quit. Listen carefully now. This next part matters deeply. There is a reason your spirit feels restless recently, a reason your heart feels caught between exhaustion and expectation, a reason you feel like something important is about to happen while at the same time fighting strange waves of fear. It is because you are standing at the edge of transition, and transition always feels uncomfortable before breakthrough arrives. My child, I must warn you now. Do not allow old pain to follow you into your new season, because the blessing I am preparing for you cannot grow in the same place where bitterness still lives. You have carried certain wounds for too long. The betrayal, the disappointment, the anger, the resentment toward people who hurt you, the grief over things that never happened the way you hoped. I understand why those wounds formed. I saw every tear. I heard every silent cry. I know how unfair certain moments felt. But hear me carefully now. You cannot step fully into freedom while still chained emotionally to what wounded you. And that is why I am calling you higher now. Higher than revenge, higher than bitterness, higher than the need to make others finally understand your pain, because your peace is more valuable than your pride. Listen closely. Forgiveness does not mean what happened was acceptable. Forgiveness means you finally stop allowing the pain to control your spirit. The enemy wants your wounds to become permanent identities, wants your heartbreak to define your future, wants your disappointment to poison every new blessing I send into your life. But my child, that is not your destiny. You were not created to remain trapped in survival mode forever. You were created for peace, for healing, for purpose, for restoration, and restoration requires release. There are memories you must finally surrender, conversations you must stop replaying, people you must stop chasing emotionally. Old versions of yourself you must finally bury, because where I am taking you next, you cannot carry all this heaviness with you. My beloved, many people delay their own healing because they continue feeding what hurts them. They revisit old pain daily. They reopen wounds through constant overthinking. They remain emotionally attached to people who already walked away, and slowly, their spirit becomes exhausted carrying emotional weight that heaven already asked them to release. But I am calling you into freedom now, not partial freedom, complete freedom, the kind of freedom where your peace no longer depends on whether others apologize, the kind of freedom where your heart finally rests instead of constantly reliving the past, the kind of freedom where joy becomes possible again. Listen carefully now. The breakthrough you prayed for is not only external, it is internal too. Because before I change certain circumstances around you, I must transform what lives inside you. And my child, you are changing now. You are learning that peace matters more than chaos disguised as love. You are learning that protecting your spirit is not selfish. You are learning that not every battle deserves your energy. And most importantly, you are learning how to let go. That lesson changes everything, because some blessings only arrive after surrender. Some doors only open after release. Some miracles only appear once the heart finally becomes available to receive them. This next truth is important. The enemy fears healed people, because healed people stop settling for emotional chains. Healed people stop living beneath their worth. Healed people stop repeating destructive cycles. And healed people become dangerous to darkness because they begin helping others escape the same prisons they survived. That is why your healing matters so much. Your transformation is not only for you. There are people connected to your future assignment who need the strength your survival created. One day, your testimony will become someone else's reason not to quit. One day your healing will help another wounded soul breathe again. One day your peace will show others that restoration is possible. But first, you must let go of what keeps pulling your spirit backward. My beloved child, stop reopening doors I already closed. Stop revisiting relationships that already stole your peace. Stop returning emotionally to seasons I already ended. You keep asking me for a new beginning while secretly grieving the old one every night. But you cannot fully receive tomorrow while emotionally living in yesterday. This is your warning before the blessing arrives. Guard your heart now. Protect your spirit now, because not every voice deserves access to your mind during transition seasons. There are distractions trying to pull you away from your breakthrough. Distractions through fear, through confusion, through temptation, through emotional exhaustion, through people suddenly returning once they sense you are changing. Listen carefully. Not everyone who reappears deserves re-entry into your life. Discernment matters now more than ever before, because some people return not because they changed, but because they feel your energy shifting. And wounded spirits are often drawn toward healed light. Do not confuse familiarity with destiny. Some doors must remain closed permanently, and yes, that may feel painful, but your future peace is worth protecting. My child, you asked me to change your life, and I am answering that prayer now. But transformation requires obedience. It requires trust. It requires surrender even when the future still feels uncertain. That is why I need you to stop fighting the process. Stop resisting the changes happening inside you. Stop doubting yourself every time growth feels uncomfortable. Because discomfort does not always mean danger. Sometimes discomfort means you are finally leaving environments your soul outgrew long ago. My beloved, you are entering a season where clarity will increase. You will begin noticing signs more clearly. Certain conversations will suddenly reveal truth. Certain opportunities will appear unexpectedly. Certain answers will arrive quietly after long periods of confusion. Watch closely now, because heaven is already moving around your life. The shift already started. You may not fully see it yet, but the spiritual atmosphere surrounding your future is changing. That is why you feel both fear and expectation at the same time. Your spirit senses movement before your eyes can see it. And soon, what felt delayed for years will suddenly begin unfolding quickly. But remember this warning: do not sabotage your breakthrough by returning to old chains. Do not let loneliness pull you back toward unhealthy attachments. Do not let fear convince you to settle for less than what I prepared. Do not let impatience force doors open that heaven intentionally closed. Trust my timing now, because my timing protects you. Everything happening around your life carries purpose, even the waiting, even the silence, even the endings. And very soon, you will understand why this season had to unfold exactly the way it did. My beloved child, the blessing is near, closer than you think. But before it arrives fully, I needed your spirit free. Free from bitterness, free from shame, free from emotional chains, free from the need to carry yesterday forever. That freedom is beginning now, so breathe deeply. Release the weight, trust me again, and prepare your heart. Because what is coming next will move faster than anything you expected. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, "I release the old season and receive what God prepared for me." And stay close, because the next part will reveal the signs that your breakthrough has already started appearing around your life. Part 7. The signs will start appearing, my beloved child. The signs have already started. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, subtly, gently unfolding around your life. And if you pay close attention now, you will begin to notice them everywhere. Because before breakthrough fully arrives, I always send confirmation first. That strange feeling in your spirit lately, that deep sense that something is shifting, that sudden awareness that your old life no longer fits you. Those are not random emotions. They are signals. Heaven has already started moving around your future, and your spirit can feel it before your eyes fully understand it. Listen carefully now. This next part is important. You have been asking me for a sign for a very long time. A sign that you are not forgotten. A sign that your prayers were heard. A sign that your suffering had meaning. A sign that change is finally coming. And my child, this message itself is one of those signs, because I knew exactly when your spirit would become tired enough to need these words. I knew the precise moment your heart would begin searching again. I knew the exact second you would need reassurance before the next chapter begins. Nothing about this moment is accidental. You were guided here. And soon, the confirmations around your life will increase. You will notice repeated patterns, unexpected peace, sudden clarity, doors opening where nothing moved before, conversations that answer questions you never spoke aloud. You will begin seeing evidence of my presence in places you once overlooked. Because once heaven starts shifting your season, the signs become impossible to ignore. My beloved, do not expect every sign to arrive dramatically. Most of the time, I speak quietly, through stillness, through inner peace, through gentle whispers inside your spirit. Remember Elijah, he searched for me in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire, but my voice came through a still small whisper. And that is how many of your confirmations will arrive too. Not through chaos, but through peace. That calmness suddenly entering your spirit lately. Even while your circumstances remain uncertain, that is one of the signs. Because human logic says you should still be overwhelmed. But heaven has already started calming the storm inside you before changing the storm around you. Do you understand what that means? Transformation is already happening. My child, there will also be signs through separation. Some people will quietly disappear from your life now. Conversations will fade naturally. Certain attachments will weaken. And although part of you may feel sad, another part of your spirit will feel relief. Pay attention to that feeling, because peace is often the confirmation you prayed for. You spent too long forcing connections heaven already outgrew. But now, your spirit is learning the difference between attachment and alignment. And alignment changes everything. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. The enemy always sends confusion before breakthrough seasons. Why? Because confusion makes people doubt the signs heaven sends. You may notice yourself questioning your instincts lately, second-guessing your discernment, wondering if you are imagining things. But my beloved, your spirit is awakening, not imagining. That sudden discomfort around certain environments, that heaviness around certain people, that growing desire for peace and distance from chaos, those are signs too. Your soul is recognizing what no longer belongs in your next season. And although your mind may not fully understand it yet, your spirit already knows. That is why old environments feel strange now. You outgrew them spiritually. You are becoming more sensitive to energy, more aware of what drains your peace, more connected to my voice. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is spiritual awareness. My child, you will also begin seeing signs through opportunities, unexpected openings, new conversations, fresh ideas, creative thoughts. Sudden motivation returning after long emotional exhaustion. Those things are not coincidence. They are evidence that movement already started. Heaven never transforms lives instantly without first planting seeds of transition. And the seeds are already appearing around you now. Watch carefully, because some opportunities arriving soon may appear small at first. Do not ignore them. Great changes often begin quietly. David was overlooked before becoming king. Joseph was imprisoned before reaching the palace. Moses wandered in obscurity before leading nations. And your next season will begin the same way, quietly, gradually, but powerfully. My beloved child, one of the greatest signs you will notice is this. Your old fears will slowly lose their power over you. The anxiety that once controlled your mind every night will begin weakening. The constant fear of rejection will start fading. The emotional heaviness you carried for years will no longer dominate your spirit the same way. And one day soon, you will suddenly realize, I am not who I used to be anymore. That realization is one of the biggest confirmations of all, because the greatest miracle is not always external success. Sometimes the greatest miracle is internal peace, the kind of peace you once believed you would never feel again. And my child, that peace is already approaching you now. Listen closely. The signs will not only appear around you, they will appear within you. Your reactions will change. Your desires will change. Your standards will change. You will stop chasing what once drained you. You will stop begging for what already rejected you. You will stop settling for environments that destroy your spirit. Why? Because your identity is changing. And healed people naturally move differently than wounded people. That transformation itself is a sign. My beloved, there will also be moments soon where you suddenly remember these words. Moments where life pauses briefly and your spirit whispers, "This is what God was preparing me for." When that happens, do not ignore it, because revelation is arriving, and revelation always comes before acceleration. The next season of your life will move faster than the last one. Doors that stayed closed for years will suddenly open quickly. People who overlooked you will suddenly recognize your value. Situations that once felt impossible will begin shifting unexpectedly. And while others call it coincidence, your spirit will know it was divine timing all along. But listen carefully now. Do not become obsessed with signs themselves. Stay focused on me, because signs are only reminders of my presence, not replacements for trust. Some people spend so much time chasing confirmation that they stop walking by faith. But I am teaching you balance now, discernment, wisdom, trust. You do not need endless proof to keep moving forward anymore. Your spirit already knows I am with you, and very soon, your circumstances will begin reflecting what your soul already senses. My beloved child, there is a reason you survived every season that should have destroyed you. A reason your heart kept searching even after disappointment. A reason your spirit refused to completely give up. It is because your future was never canceled. Your breakthrough was only delayed for preparation. And now, the preparation season is ending. That is why signs are increasing around your life. The shift already started. The atmosphere around your destiny is changing. And even if nobody else understands what is happening, your spirit recognizes it. You are not crazy. You are awakening. You are entering alignment. You are moving toward the season heaven prepared long before you arrived here. So stay alert now. Protect your peace. Watch for the confirmations. Listen for my voice in quiet moments. And do not fear the unfamiliar changes happening around you, because those changes are leading you toward the life you prayed for. My beloved, the signs are appearing because the breakthrough is near, closer than you think. And soon, you will no longer need faith to believe change is coming. You will finally begin seeing it with your own eyes. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, "I see the signs God is sending me," and stay close, because the next part will reveal why God delayed your answers for so long before finally opening the next season of your life. My beloved child, I know there were many nights when you questioned my timing, moments you looked toward heaven and quietly asked, why is everything taking so long? Why did the answers not arrive sooner? Why did the doors stay closed for years? Why did you watch others move forward while your own life seemed frozen in place? I heard every one of those questions, even the ones you never spoke aloud. And now, I need you to understand something that will change the way you see your entire journey. The delay was never punishment. The delay was protection. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. You believed I was withholding blessings from you, but many times I was withholding pain you were not ready to see yet. Because, my child, had certain prayers been answered earlier, they would have destroyed you emotionally. You wanted relationships before healing. You wanted opportunities before wisdom. You wanted elevation before stability. You wanted open doors before your spirit was strong enough to carry what waited behind them. But I saw the full picture while you only saw the waiting. I saw hidden consequences, hidden dangers, hidden betrayals, hidden storms waiting on roads you begged me to open. And because I love you, I delayed certain things, not to hurt you, but to save you. My beloved, you kept comparing your timeline to other people, watching others succeed, watching others build relationships, watching others move ahead while you felt stuck. And slowly, comparison started poisoning your peace. You wondered if I forgot about you, if somehow everyone else was chosen except you. But hear me carefully now. You were never behind. You were being prepared differently. Different callings require different preparation. David was anointed long before he became king. Joseph carried the dream long before he reached the palace. Moses spent years hidden in the wilderness before leading nations into freedom. And you, my child, have also been in preparation, not abandonment, preparation. The waiting season was building things inside you that quick success never could. Patience, discernment, endurance, humility, spiritual strength, the ability to survive pressure without collapsing. Because where I am taking you next, those qualities matter more than speed. Listen closely now. Some delays happened because your heart still needed healing. You asked me for healthy love while still carrying wounds from unhealthy attachment. You prayed for peace while remaining emotionally connected to chaos. You wanted new beginnings while secretly grieving old seasons every night. But my child, unhealed pain distorts blessings. And if I had released certain miracles too early, your old wounds would have sabotaged them. That is why healing had to happen first. Not because I rejected you, but because I wanted your future to last. My beloved, there were also seasons where I intentionally slowed your life down because your soul needed rest. You became so exhausted trying to survive emotionally that you forgot how to simply breathe. You carried responsibilities never meant for your shoulders. You constantly overthought every situation. You tried controlling outcomes only heaven could handle, and your spirit became tired, very tired. So I allowed stillness, I allowed pauses, I allowed delays that frustrated your plans. Because while you thought your life was standing still, I was restoring your spirit quietly. Sometimes silence is not rejection. Sometimes silence is recovery. Listen carefully. This next truth is important. Many people rush toward blessings they are emotionally unprepared to sustain. And eventually, the blessing becomes another burden. But I refused to allow that to happen to you. I needed your identity rooted in me first. Not in success, not in relationships, not in validation. Because unstable identity collapses under pressure, and the future I prepared for you carries weight, influence, responsibility, purpose, so I slowed certain things down intentionally. Not forever, only until your spirit became stronger. And my child, you are stronger now than you realize. The version of you today could survive situations that once would have destroyed you emotionally. You became wiser through pain, more discerning through betrayal, more spiritually aware through loneliness, and now You are finally becoming ready for what you prayed for years ago. That is why movement is beginning again. That is why signs are increasing around your life. That is why your spirit feels transition approaching. The waiting season is shifting. Listen closely now. Do not resent the years that felt delayed, because one day you will realize those years protected your destiny. If certain people had stayed, they would have delayed your healing. If certain doors had opened earlier, they would have distracted you from your purpose. If certain blessings arrived too quickly, your wounded heart would have mishandled them. But now, healing changed you. Wisdom changed you. The fire refined you. And suddenly, what once would have destroyed you can now be trusted in your hands. That is growth, my beloved, real growth. My child, there were also delays because I needed to separate you from environments that no longer aligned with your future. Some places were too small for your calling. Some people were too attached to your brokenness. Some environments constantly drained your peace. And had I accelerated your life too quickly, you would have carried those unhealthy patterns into your next season. So I allowed separation first, healing first, clarity first. And although the process felt lonely, it was necessary, because what I build now must remain steady. This next truth matters deeply. Delay does not mean denial. Silence does not mean absence. Waiting does not mean you were forgotten. Many times, I work most powerfully in hidden seasons. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees fruit. Foundations are built beneath the surface before buildings rise. And transformation happens internally long before circumstances visibly change. That is exactly what happened to you. While you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening. Quietly, spiritually, deeply. I was rebuilding your life from the inside out. My beloved, the enemy tried to convince you the waiting was proof that nothing good would ever happen for you. That fear almost consumed your hope at times. But the truth is, your breakthrough was being timed perfectly. Not late, not forgotten, perfectly timed. Because heaven sees what human eyes cannot. I knew the exact moment certain people would leave. The exact season your spirit would awaken. The exact timing for new doors to open. The exact version of you needed to carry the next chapter of your life. And now, that version is finally emerging. You are no longer the same person who entered the waiting season. The old version of you would have settled for less, would have ignored red flags, would have sacrificed peace for attention, would have accepted confusion disguised as love. But now, you are different. And because you changed, your future is changing too. My beloved child, do not fear delayed seasons anymore. Sometimes the greatest proof of my love is not what I immediately allow, but what I lovingly refuse to release too early. And one day soon, you will look back at every delay and whisper, God was protecting me the entire time. Listen carefully now. The waiting season is ending. Movement is beginning. What felt blocked will soon begin opening unexpectedly. What felt impossible will suddenly shift. What felt dead will begin breathing again. But this time, you will enter the blessing wiser, calmer, stronger, healed, prepared, because delay created depth inside your spirit. And depth is what keeps blessings from collapsing under pressure. My child, trust my timing now. Even the seasons that confused you carried purpose. Even the silence carried love. Even the delays carried protection. And very soon, you will understand why heaven made you wait. If this message reaches your heart, comment, God's delay was protecting my future, and stay close, because the next part will reveal how the people who once doubted you will soon witness the transformation heaven prepared in secret. My beloved child, there were people who looked at your pain and assumed your story was over. People who saw your silence and mistook it for weakness. People who watched you struggle and quietly decided you would never rise beyond your circumstances. Some doubted you openly, others doubted you in secret. Some walked away when your life became difficult. Some only supported you when you appeared strong, and some never truly believed you would survive the storm at all. But hear me carefully now. None of those people saw what I was building inside you, because the greatest transformations happen in hidden places. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees the harvest. Diamonds are formed under pressure long before they shine. And your transformation was happening quietly while the world assumed nothing was changing. My child, the same people who underestimated your future will soon witness your restoration, not because you seek revenge, not because you need to prove your worth, but because I will not allow the story to end in the valley where others left you. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. The season of hidden suffering is ending. For a long time, you carried pain silently. You healed quietly. You survived privately. Nobody truly understood how hard the battle became inside your mind. Nobody saw the nights you cried alone. Nobody saw how much strength it took just to keep moving forward. And because your healing happened in secret, people assumed nothing was happening at all. But heaven was working behind the scenes the entire time, quietly rebuilding your spirit, quietly restoring your confidence, quietly strengthening your identity. And now, the evidence of that transformation will begin showing externally. You will walk differently, speak differently, carry peace differently. People will notice something changed about you even if they cannot explain it, because true healing creates a presence that cannot be hidden. My beloved, there were people who only knew the wounded version of you. The exhausted version, the anxious version, the version constantly doubting itself, the version begging for love while secretly feeling unworthy of receiving it. But that version is fading now, and the stronger version, emerging from the fire, will surprise everyone who underestimated your survival. This next part is important. Your restoration will not happen loudly at first. It will begin quietly through peace, through confidence, through clarity, through emotional freedom. And slowly, the same people who once overlooked your value will begin recognizing the strength they failed to see before. Not because you changed to impress them, but because healing naturally reveals the light pain once buried. My child, do not seek validation from those who doubted you. That season is over. You spent too many years trying to convince people to see your worth, trying to earn love, trying to prove your value, trying to explain your heart to those committed to misunderstanding you. But now, you are entering a different season. A season where your peace matters more than approval. A season where your identity no longer depends on human recognition. And ironically, that inner confidence is exactly what will make others finally notice the transformation. Listen carefully now. The enemy tried to humiliate you publicly through pain, but I will restore you publicly through peace. The same spirit that almost broke you emotionally will become the testimony that reveals my faithfulness through your life. People will look at you and wonder how you survived, how you remained kind after betrayal, how you stayed soft after heartbreak, how you found peace after so much confusion, and your existence itself will become proof that healing is real. My beloved child, there are blessings approaching your life that many people never expected you to receive. Unexpected opportunities, unexpected restoration, unexpected favor, unexpected doors opening suddenly after years of delay. And while others will call it luck, you will know it was preparation, because they only saw your waiting season. They never saw the hidden work heaven was doing inside you. This next truth matters deeply. Do not become bitter toward those who doubted you, because many people only understood you through the limits of their own vision. Some projected their fears onto your future. Some underestimated you because they underestimated themselves. And some walked away because they could not recognize the greatness hidden beneath your brokenness. But their inability to see your future never canceled my plans for your life. Not once. My child, there will also be people who suddenly return once your transformation becomes visible. People who ignored you before, people who overlooked your value, people who disappeared during your hardest seasons. And suddenly, once peace surrounds your spirit differently, they will notice. Be careful now. Not every returning connection deserves restored access to your heart. Discernment matters deeply in restoration seasons, because some people are attracted to your breakthrough but were absent during your rebuilding. And your healing deserves protection. My beloved, you no longer need to chase recognition. The right people will recognize your worth naturally. The right doors will open without manipulation. The right relationships will bring peace instead of confusion. That is one of the clearest signs your season is changing. Chaos no longer feels normal to your spirit. You are learning to recognize peace as alignment. And alignment is leading you toward restoration now. Listen closely. The transformation happening inside you is already affecting the atmosphere around your life. Your energy changed, your standards changed, your spirit changed. And because of that, the environments connected to your future are changing too. You will begin attracting healthier people, healthier opportunities, healthier peace. Not because life suddenly became perfect, but because your spirit no longer aligns with constant chaos. My child, for too long you believed your pain was the final chapter. But the breaking season was never your ending, it was your preparation. And now, the rebuilding season is beginning to reveal itself publicly. The doors opening next will not resemble the doors that closed before. The peace approaching you will not resemble temporary happiness. The love entering your future will not resemble the confusion you survived in the past. Because healing changed your standards, wisdom changed your spirit, and discernment changed your direction. This next part is important. Do not become prideful once restoration begins appearing. Stay humble, stay grateful, stay close to me. Because the purpose of your breakthrough is not to make others jealous. It is to reveal my faithfulness through your survival. You are living proof that pain does not have the final word. That heartbreak does not cancel destiny. That delayed seasons do not destroy purpose. And that even after everything, healing is still possible. My beloved child, you survived what should have destroyed you. You carried wounds nobody understood. You walked through seasons where your heart nearly gave up. And still, you remained standing. That alone is a miracle. And now, the world will begin seeing externally what heaven already saw internally long ago. Strength, wisdom, peace, resilience, purpose. The very qualities suffering quietly built inside you. Listen carefully now. Do not fear being seen anymore. For too long, pain made you hide parts of yourself, made you shrink, made you doubt your own light. But the season of hiding is ending. I am calling you into visibility now. Not visibility for ego, but visibility for purpose. Because your testimony will help others survive their own storms. And the same people who once doubted your future will soon witness the evidence of what heaven built through your pain. My beloved, you are not who you used to be anymore. The storm changed you. The waiting changed you. The healing changed you. And very soon, the transformation will become impossible to hide. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, God restored what pain tried to destroy, and stay close. Because the next part will reveal how the healing already started inside your spirit, before the breakthrough even became visible around your life. My beloved child, the healing already began long before you noticed it. It began quietly, slowly, deep within the hidden places of your spirit where pain once lived without rest. You kept waiting for dramatic signs, for sudden miracles, for instant transformation. But healing rarely arrives like a storm. Most of the time, it arrives like dawn, softly, gently, little by little, replacing darkness with light. And my child, that dawn has already started rising inside you. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. There was a time when your thoughts constantly worked against your peace. Your mind replayed pain endlessly. You overanalyzed every rejection. You carried guilt for things that were never your fault. You expected disappointment before hope even had a chance to breathe. And eventually, survival became your normal state. You became used to anxiety, used to emotional heaviness, used to waking up exhausted before the day even began. But now, something is changing. The storm inside your mind is beginning to quiet down. Not perfectly, not instantly, but genuinely. You are starting to breathe differently, think differently, feel differently. The same fears that once consumed your nights no longer control you the same way. And even though some wounds still ache, your spirit is no longer drowning inside them. That is healing, my beloved, real healing. Not pretending the pain never happened, not forcing yourself to feel strong, but slowly learning how to live without constantly bleeding from old wounds. My child, there are moments recently where you suddenly feel calm without understanding why. Moments where your heart feels lighter for no obvious reason. Moments where your mind becomes still after years of constant noise. Those moments are not random. That is my peace entering the places fear once occupied. And the enemy hates that peace. Because inner peace destroys the chains fear used to control you with. Listen closely now. The healing happening inside you is more powerful than you realize. You used to seek validation constantly. Now you seek peace. You used to chase people who hurt you. Now your spirit naturally pulls away from chaos. You used to blame yourself for every ending. Now you are beginning to recognize that not every loss was your fault. You used to fear being alone. Now you are learning how to survive without abandoning yourself emotionally. Do you see the transformation happening? The old version of you is fading. The wounded identity, the fearful identity, the identity built entirely around survival. And in its place, I am building something stronger, a spirit rooted in peace instead of panic, a heart rooted in wisdom instead of fear, an identity rooted in truth instead of rejection. My beloved child, you spent years carrying emotional burdens never meant for your soul. The expectations of others, the opinions of others, the wounds others created. And slowly, those burdens became so heavy that you forgot what freedom even felt like. But now, I am teaching you how to release what was never yours to carry. That process feels unfamiliar because your spirit became accustomed to pain. You became so used to chaos that peace almost feels strange sometimes. You became so familiar with emotional survival that rest feels uncomfortable. But healing often feels unfamiliar before it feels safe. Do not fear that process, because your spirit is learning how to live differently now. Listen carefully, this next part is important. Healing does not mean you never feel pain again. Healing means pain no longer controls your identity. There will still be memories, still moments of sadness, still scars that remind you of what you survived. But those things will no longer imprison your spirit. You are becoming emotionally free. And emotional freedom changes everything. My child, you also need to understand this. Your healing is not selfish. For too long, you believed taking care of your own spirit meant neglecting others. So you kept sacrificing your peace to keep everyone else comfortable. You carried emotional weight for people who never carried yours. You gave endlessly while your own soul quietly starved. But now, I am teaching you balance, boundaries, wisdom. Because healed people learn that protecting their peace is part of honoring the life heaven gave them. You cannot pour endlessly from an empty spirit. You cannot heal others while constantly destroying yourself. And you, my beloved, deserve healing too. Listen closely now. The enemy wanted your wounds to become permanent, wanted heartbreak to define you, wanted rejection to convince you that you were unworthy of love, wanted failure to convince you that your future no longer mattered. But the enemy failed, because despite every battle, your spirit still searched for light. And now, light is finally reaching the deepest parts of your soul. My child, you are beginning to notice changes in the way you see yourself. Slowly, You no longer hate your reflection the same way. You no longer feel completely unworthy of good things. You no longer believe every negative thought that enters your mind. And although confidence still feels fragile sometimes, it is growing, quietly, genuinely, because healing restores identity. For years, pain distorted the way you viewed yourself. You saw yourself through betrayal, through rejection, through disappointment. But those experiences were never your identity. They were experiences, not definitions. And now, I am restoring the truth about who you are. You are loved deeply. You are chosen intentionally. You are protected constantly. You are not forgotten, not even for a moment. And the more your spirit accepts those truths, the more peace will grow inside you. My beloved child, one day you will look back at this season and barely recognize the person you used to be, not because your past disappears, but because healing transforms the way pain lives inside you. The wounds that once controlled your emotions will become reminders of your survival instead. Your testimony will replace your shame. Your peace will replace your fear. Your wisdom will replace your confusion. And your healing will quietly inspire people around you who still feel trapped inside darkness. Because healed people carry light differently. Listen carefully now. You may not fully realize it yet, but others already feel the difference in your spirit. There is more calmness around you now, more emotional awareness, more quiet strength. The same person who once nearly collapsed emotionally is now becoming a source of peace for others. That transformation is miraculous, and it happened because you survived long enough to heal. My child, there are still moments ahead where old fears may try returning. Old thoughts, old insecurities, old emotional wounds. But this time will be different, because now you recognize them for what they are. Temporary echoes from a season already ending. You no longer belong to the darkness that once consumed your mind. You belong to peace now. You belong to healing. You belong to restoration. And restoration is already unfolding inside you. Listen closely. The greatest miracle happening in your life right now is not only external breakthrough, it is internal renewal. Because once your spirit becomes healthy, everything connected to your future begins changing too. Your relationships change, your choices change, your standards change, your direction changes, and slowly, your entire life begins aligning with the healed version of you instead of the wounded one. That is what is happening now. You are aligning with the future heaven prepared for you. And my beloved, that future no longer belongs to fear. It belongs to peace, so breathe deeply now. Release the old identity, release the old pain. Release the belief that you will always struggle emotionally, because healing already started. And what I began inside you, I will finish completely. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, "God is healing me from the inside out," and stay close. Because the next part will reveal why your pain was secretly preparing you to become a light for other wounded people who are still fighting their own hidden battles. My beloved child, there is something about your pain you still do not fully understand yet. It was never only about you. I know there were moments when suffering felt meaningless, moments you cried asking why your life had to become so difficult. Why your heart had to break so many times. Why your spirit had to carry battles nobody else seemed to understand. And during those nights, you believed the pain existed only to wound you. But my child, your survival carries purpose far beyond what you can currently see. Because one day, the very thing that almost destroyed you will become the reason someone else chooses not to give up. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. You were never meant to leave this season empty-handed. The fire did not only refine you, it prepared you, prepared your voice, prepared your heart, prepared your spirit to recognize pain in others with compassion instead of judgment. Most people speak about healing from theory, but you survived it personally. You understand emotional exhaustion. You understand loneliness. You understand betrayal. You understand silent battles hidden behind fake smiles. And because you understand suffering deeply, you will one day carry healing differently than people who never walked through darkness themselves. My beloved, there are people connected to your future assignment who are currently fighting battles similar to the ones you survived. People silently losing hope, people questioning their worth, people drowning in fear while pretending they are okay, people who feel forgotten by heaven. And one day, your testimony will become proof that survival is possible. That is why the enemy fought your mind so aggressively, not only because of who you are, but because of who you are destined to help. The darkness understood your future impact long before you did. Listen carefully. Your pain created compassion inside you. Without suffering, you would not recognize hidden wounds in others. Without heartbreak, you would not understand emotional loneliness. Without waiting seasons, you would not know how to encourage people trapped in discouragement. Without surviving darkness, you would never fully appreciate the value of light. Do you see it now? Nothing was wasted. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one moment where your spirit almost collapsed. Everything became part of your preparation. My child, the people who carry the greatest light are often those who survived the darkest battles. Because pain changes the way a soul sees humanity. It softens judgment, it deepens empathy, it teaches humility. And humility creates space for true wisdom. That wisdom is growing inside you now. My beloved, you used to think your sensitivity was weakness, the way you felt things deeply, the way certain words stayed in your heart for years, the way you absorbed emotional atmospheres around you. But that sensitivity was never weakness, it was spiritual depth. You were created to feel deeply because one day, your heart would become a safe place for wounded people searching for hope. Healed souls recognize wounded souls differently, and your survival created a language only broken hearts truly understand. Listen closely now. This next truth is important. Your future purpose is not rooted in perfection. It is rooted in authenticity. People will not connect to you because you appeared flawless. They will connect to you because you survived honestly, because your scars carry truth, because your peace carries evidence, because your healing carries light. My child, there were seasons where you believed your life had no direction anymore, no meaning, no purpose. You felt lost inside your own story, but heaven never lost sight of your assignment. Even during your worst moments, purpose remained attached to your life. That is why you survived things that should have destroyed you emotionally. There is still work for your soul to accomplish. Still people your existence will impact. Still lives your testimony will touch. And the closer you move toward that purpose, the more clarity will begin awakening inside you. My beloved, you are beginning to notice something changing already. People feel safe talking to you. Strangers open up unexpectedly. Others sense peace around your spirit even when you remain quiet. Why? Because suffering created depth inside you, and depth naturally draws wounded people searching for understanding. This is part of your calling, not necessarily through stages or crowds, but through presence, through compassion, through wisdom, through the quiet strength heaven built inside your survival. Listen carefully now. The enemy tried to make you bitter through pain, because bitterness would have destroyed your assignment. But instead of becoming cruel, you became softer, wiser, more compassionate, and that transformation threatens darkness deeply, because healed people become light in places where hopelessness once ruled. My child, one day you will sit across from someone who feels exactly the way you once felt. Exhausted, broken, afraid, convinced life will never change. And without even realizing it, your words will become healing for them. Not because you memorized perfect advice, but because your spirit carries understanding earned through survival. That is the power of testimony. And that is why your healing matters so much. My beloved, The enemy wanted your story to end in isolation, wanted your pain to silence you permanently, wanted shame to keep you hidden. But heaven is rewriting your story now. The chapter that almost destroyed you will eventually become the chapter that reveals my faithfulness most clearly. Listen closely. There are people you have not even met yet who will one day thank God you survived this season, because your future peace will help calm their fear. Your future wisdom will help guide their confusion. Your future healing will inspire their restoration, and your testimony will remind them that darkness does not last forever. My child, you are becoming living proof that people can survive heartbreak without losing their ability to love. That people can survive betrayal without becoming bitter. That people can survive loneliness without losing faith. And that kind of testimony carries power, real power. The kind of power that changes generations emotionally and spiritually. This next truth matters deeply. Do not minimize your survival anymore. Do not speak about yourself as if your story has no value. Do not compare your journey to others and assume your impact is smaller. Every battle you survived built something meaningful inside you. Strength, wisdom, discernment, compassion, endurance. Those qualities were expensive to build. They were formed through pain, and now they are becoming part of your purpose. My beloved child, there will be moments soon where you finally understand why certain seasons had to hurt so deeply. Because had your life remained easy, your spirit would never have developed the depth necessary for your assignment. Comfort rarely creates transformation, but suffering often awakens destiny. That is exactly what happened to you. Your destiny awakened through survival. Listen carefully now. The next season of your life is not only about receiving blessings. It is about becoming a blessing, becoming light, becoming peace, becoming evidence that healing is real. And you are already moving toward that future now. The people connected to your destiny need the healed version of you, not the version still hiding in shame, not the version trapped in fear. The healed version, the awakened version, the spiritually mature version emerging from the fire now. My beloved, you are not broken beyond repair. You are being rebuilt for purpose. Everything you survived shaped you for this assignment. And one day, when someone else feels trapped inside darkness, your story will help lead them back toward light. That is why your survival mattered. That is why heaven protected you. That is why you are still here, because your life carries purpose beyond your pain. Listen closely. You did not survive by accident. You survived because your story is still unfolding. And the next chapter will reveal just how powerfully heaven intends to use your healing. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, "My pain became part of my purpose," and stay close. Because the next part will reveal how suddenly your breakthrough can arrive. Once heaven decides the preparation season is complete. My beloved child, what you have been praying for is closer than you realize, closer than your fear believes. Closer than your exhaustion allows you to see, closer than the silence made you assume. And that is why your spirit feels this strange mixture of anticipation and uncertainty lately. Part of you feels something shifting, while another part of you remains afraid to hope again. I understand that fear, because disappointment taught you to guard your expectations. After so many delays, so many closed doors, so many moments where nothing changed despite your prayers, your heart became cautious. You stopped expecting sudden miracles, stopped believing breakthrough could happen quickly, stopped imagining your life could transform in ways beyond your understanding. But my child, I need you to hear me carefully now. Not every blessing arrives slowly. Some blessings arrive suddenly. Listen closely. This next truth matters deeply. You have spent years thinking nothing was happening, but heaven was preparing everything beneath the surface. Connections, timing, doors, healing, alignment. Every painful season was positioning pieces you could not yet see. And now, the preparation season is reaching completion. That is why movement is increasing around your life. That is why your spirit feels restless before sleeping. That is why unexpected opportunities are beginning appearing quietly. That is why old cycles are breaking. That is why certain people are leaving while new connections slowly approach. The shift already started. My beloved, many people give up right before breakthrough because the final waiting season feels the heaviest. The enemy increases fear before chains break. Doubt intensifies before clarity arrives. Exhaustion becomes stronger before restoration appears. And if you are not careful, you will mistake spiritual transition for abandonment. But this is not abandonment. This is acceleration. You are standing closer to answered prayers than you have ever been before. My child, there are blessings approaching your life now that will not resemble anything from your past. Not temporary peace, real peace, not confusing love. Healthy love, not unstable opportunities, aligned opportunities. Because the version of you entering this season is no longer operating from survival. You are entering this season healed differently, wiser differently, stronger differently. And because of that, the blessings coming now will finally align with your transformed spirit. Listen carefully now. This next part is important. Some of the things you prayed for years ago were delayed because the old version of you would have mishandled them emotionally. But now, your heart changed, your standards changed, your discernment changed. And suddenly, the same blessing that once would have destroyed your peace can now safely enter your life. That is why heaven waited, not to deny you, but to prepare you. My beloved, there are doors preparing to open that no human effort alone could create. Unexpected favor, unexpected restoration, unexpected opportunities, unexpected connections. Things you stopped praying for because disappointment convinced you nothing would change anymore. But heaven never forgot those prayers, not one of them. Even the prayers you whispered through tears. Even the prayers you stopped repeating because the waiting became painful. I heard them all. And many of those prayers are closer to manifestation now than ever before. Listen closely. You are about to enter a season where things begin moving faster. The healing that took years will suddenly produce peace. The wisdom built through suffering will suddenly create clarity. The discipline formed through waiting will suddenly open opportunities. And while others only see the sudden blessing, you will understand the hidden preparation behind it. Because breakthrough is never random, it is prepared. My child, there will soon be moments where your spirit pauses and quietly realizes, this is what God was preparing me for. The pain will finally make sense. The delays will finally make sense. The separation will finally make sense. The waiting will finally make sense. And when that revelation arrives, you will stop mourning the seasons that once confused you. Because you will finally see how every painful chapter positioned you perfectly for this next one. My beloved, do not underestimate sudden change. I can restore in one season what pain stole over many years. I can open one door that changes the direction of your entire future. I can send one connection that shifts everything emotionally and spiritually. I can create peace inside you faster than fear created damage. Nothing is impossible once heaven decides the preparation season is complete. And your preparation season is ending now. Listen carefully, this next truth matters deeply. Do not allow fear to sabotage the breakthrough approaching your life. Fear will tell you nothing will change. Fear will remind you of past disappointments. Fear will try convincing you to expect failure before restoration even arrives. But fear does not know your future. I do. And my plans for you were never canceled by the seasons that wounded you. Your destiny survived every storm. Your purpose survived every heartbreak. Your calling survived every delay. And now, your future is beginning to move toward you rapidly. My beloved child, there are also spiritual shifts happening around you right now that you cannot fully see yet. People are being repositioned. Conversations are being arranged. Opportunities are aligning. Certain closed doors are preparing to reopen differently. And even now, while you listen to these words, movement is happening behind the scenes. Heaven is never inactive. Even silence carries strategy. My child, this next season will require courage. Because once doors begin opening suddenly, you must not allow old fear to keep you trapped in familiar pain. Do not run backward once change arrives. Do not cling to old cycles because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. You prayed for transformation, and transformation always requires movement. That is why I need you to trust me now more than ever before. Trust me when opportunities appear unexpectedly. Trust me when your spirit senses alignment. Trust me when old attachments begin falling away rapidly. Trust me when life starts moving differently than before. Because the breakthrough you prayed for may not arrive exactly the way you imagined, but it will arrive exactly the way your soul needs. Listen closely now. The enemy tried to convince you that your best days already passed, that healing was impossible, that your spirit would always feel exhausted, that your life would never fully recover from what happened. But the enemy lied, because restoration is already unfolding, and soon the evidence will become visible even to those who doubted your future. My beloved, you are not entering another season of survival. You are entering a season of emergence, a season where the healed version of you finally steps forward fully, a season where peace replaces panic, where confidence replaces fear, where alignment replaces confusion, where purpose replaces survival. And once that season fully begins, your life will never feel the same again. Listen carefully now. You are much closer than you think. Do not quit now. Do not lose faith now. Do not allow temporary exhaustion to make permanent decisions for your future. Because breakthrough is not far away anymore. It is approaching rapidly. And very soon, you will finally understand why heaven made you wait this long before releasing everything at once. If this message reaches your spirit, comment, "My breakthrough is closer than I think." And stay close, because the final part will reveal why. This entire journey was actually the beginning of the new life heaven prepared for you all along. My beloved child, you made it through the storm. I know there were moments you thought you would not survive this season emotionally. Moments when your spirit felt too tired to continue. Moments when fear whispered that nothing would ever change. Moments when the weight of disappointment became so heavy that simply waking up felt exhausting. And yet, you are still here, still breathing, still searching for light, still listening for my voice. That alone is proof that heaven never abandoned you. Listen carefully now. This next truth matters deeply. Everything you survived was leading to this moment. Not one tear was wasted. Not one heartbreak was meaningless. Not one delayed season happened without purpose. The pain shaped you. The waiting strengthened you. The isolation awakened you. And the fire transformed you into someone stronger, wiser, and more spiritually alive than before. You thought the breaking season was your ending. But my child, it was your preparation. This entire journey was never about destruction. It was about transformation. Because the version of you entering this next season cannot resemble the version that entered the storm. The fearful version had to fade. The wounded version had to heal. The exhausted version had to rest. And now, the rebuilt version of you is finally emerging. My beloved, you clicked this message searching for comfort, but heaven brought you here for awakening. Because deep inside your spirit, you already sensed change approaching. You felt the shift before you could explain it. That growing distance from your old life. That longing for peace. That desire to stop surviving and finally start living again. Those feelings were signs. Your soul was preparing for transition. And now, the transition has begun. Listen closely. You are not entering another cycle of pain. You are entering alignment. Alignment with peace. Alignment with purpose. Alignment with the future heaven protected through every difficult season you survived. The old version of your life is ending quietly now. The confusion, the constant emotional heaviness, the endless survival mode, the attachment to people who drained your spirit, the fear that nothing good would ever happen for you. Those chains are breaking, not instantly, not dramatically, but genuinely. And once healing fully settles inside your spirit, your entire life will begin moving differently. My child, there are blessings approaching you now that require this healed version of you. Healthy love requires healed vision. Peace requires emotional maturity. Purpose requires spiritual stability. And that is why heaven spent so much time rebuilding you internally before changing your circumstances externally. You were not delayed because you were forgotten. You were delayed because your future mattered too much to rush. Listen carefully now. The next season of your life will not look like the last one. You will think differently, choose differently, love differently, protect your peace differently. You will stop abandoning yourself emotionally to keep others comfortable. You will stop chasing things that destroy your spirit. You will stop begging for validation from people incapable of recognizing your worth. Why? Because healing restored your identity, and identity changes everything. My beloved child, one day you will look back at this version of yourself and barely recognize the fear you carried, the anxiety, the insecurity, the emotional exhaustion, the confusion. Because peace will eventually feel more natural to your spirit than survival ever did. That day is coming closer now. Listen closely. There are still moments ahead where fear may try speaking again. Moments where old wounds briefly ache. Moments where uncertainty tries convincing you to return to familiar pain. But this time, you know better. This time you recognize the difference between attachment and alignment, between chaos and peace, between fear and discernment. And that wisdom will protect your future. My child, you no longer need to prove your worth through suffering. You no longer need to shrink yourself to be accepted. You no longer need to carry everyone else while neglecting your own soul. Those seasons are ending. I am teaching you how to live differently now, how to breathe again, how to trust again, how to rest again, how to receive love without fear, how to exist without constantly preparing for disappointment. That transformation is holy, and heaven celebrates every step of your healing. Listen carefully now. The enemy tried to convince you that your story would always remain painful, but pain was never meant to become your permanent identity. You were created for more than survival, more than heartbreak, more than emotional exhaustion. You were created for purpose, for peace, for restoration, for light. And that light is finally beginning to rise inside you again. My beloved, the people who once doubted your future will not recognize the healed version of you, because suffering changed you, but not in the way darkness intended. The enemy wanted pain to make you bitter. Instead, it made you wiser, more compassionate, more spiritually awake, more connected to heaven. And now, your life itself is becoming proof that healing is possible. Listen closely. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your new season. A season where your peace matters, a season where your spirit finally rests, a season where healthy love replaces emotional confusion, a season where purpose becomes clearer, a season where the prayers you almost stopped believing in begin unfolding unexpectedly. And yes, there will still be challenges ahead, but you will not face them as the same broken person from before. You will face them healed differently, grounded differently, stronger differently, because the storm that once nearly destroyed you also built resilience inside your spirit. My child, there are people connected to your future who need the healed version of you, the wiser version, the peaceful version, the spiritually awakened version. That is why you survived. Not only for yourself, but for every life your healing will eventually touch. Listen carefully now. You are no longer trapped in the old season. Even if circumstances have not fully changed yet, Your spirit already has. And inner transformation always comes before external breakthrough. That means the miracle already started, quietly, deeply, powerfully. You may not see the full picture yet, but heaven is already moving pieces into place around your life. Doors are aligning, people are aligning, purpose is aligning, and very soon, you will step into moments you once only imagined while crying through difficult nights. Do not fear that future anymore. I am already there waiting for you, my beloved child. Remember this forever. You survived every painful season for a reason. You survived rejection. You survived loneliness. You survived confusion. You survived spiritual warfare. You survived heartbreak. And now, you are stepping into restoration. The old chapter is closing. The new season is beginning. And this next chapter of your life will carry peace your past self once prayed desperately to feel. So lift your head now, breathe deeply, release the old story, and step forward without fear. Because heaven never abandoned you. I was guiding you the entire time. And what comes next will reveal why you had to survive everything before it. If this message reached your spirit, comment, "God changed my season." And share this message with someone who needs hope tonight. Subscribe and stay close, because this is only the beginning of what heaven is about to do in your life.